battle starts.
Greetings, folks. AnIolairGhorm here with a replay in the new Tier 7 U.S. Navy light cruiser, the USS Helena. This is the ship that follows the new Tier 6 U.S. Navy light cruiser, the USS Dallas. We are in a standard battle on Haven. Each team brings 4 battleships, 7 cruisers, and 1 destroyer to the match. And I am division up with Piston Napalm in the premium Tier 7 U.S. Navy heavy cruiser, the USS Indianapolis. Now my ship build on the Helena is the same as I had on the Dallas, and my commander skills are essentially the same with the addition of the direction center skill that I now have on the Helena, which I did not have on the Dallas. Now, as far as highlights are concerned for this replay is that, one, this is my first battle in the Helena, and when Wargaming announced the Helena a couple of months ago prior to 075 coming out, I was concerned that this ship might be overpowered for its tier. It has 15 guns. It has a light cruiser reload rate at 8.5 seconds. And at least based on the results of this match, I think to some extent my concerns are valid. To be fair, I would need to play a few more matches to sort of validate and really confirm my hypothesis. But the results of this match are very strong. So how does the Helena compare to the Dallas? Well, it's very similar in many ways. One is the shell ballistics are the same. The reload rate is the same at 8.5 seconds. The turret traverse is the same at 22.5 seconds for 180 degrees. The concealment is the same at 10.1 kilometers. The key differences are that one, it has 15 guns instead of 10. It's a little beefier at 33,000 hit points. The range is a little better at 14.6 kilometers compared to 14.3 for the USS Dallas. And the turret layout is an ABC XY layout with the C turret rear facing, which can make it a little bit difficult if you're switching sides. You have to wait for the gun to rotate all the way around. So I'm going to stop commenting for a moment, and we're going to watch the first few minutes of the gameplay, and you get a sense for how well the ship performs. Okay, I'm going to pause here. We are at the 1437 mark or so, and we are less than 3 minutes into the battle as far as when I fired my first salvo at 1727. And in that time, I have scored 75 shell hits. 11 of those are Citadels. Now, admittedly, most or all of them were on light cruisers, and I've done nearly 70,000 in damage. Now, to be fair, I did take advantage of some choices that the opposing team made. They had several light cruisers that came to this flank, and I exploited their position and was able to fire on a lot of broadsides. But with that many guns firing every 8.5 seconds, the damage racks up really quickly. So just on that performance alone, you can get a good sense for how strong this ship can be. So I'm going to continue the replay. And the next focus here will become this Colorado. So before we get there, let's talk a little bit more about how this ship performs, let's say, compared to the Dallas and just overall. So I find that this ship has about the same tankiness or lack of tankiness, if you will, than the Dallas. She can bow tank to some extent against light cruisers and maybe to some extent against heavy cruisers, but she will have no chance against battleships. Frankly, most or if not all cruisers at tier 7 can't really bow tank materially. So she will still have some fragility, and we'll see here later on in the battle how she will fare against some fire that is sent on her by some opposing cruisers. But the next focus here is going to be this Colorado. Now, I was a little concerned about engaging this Colorado, but I realized that he is concentrating on the Gneisenau, which is directly in front of me. So I have the flat broadside of the Colorado. You'll notice that I'm aiming essentially at the deck line of the ship, and I am scoring multiple penetrating hits. And in 3 salvos, I rack up, again, well over 15,000 in damage, which is very strong for a light cruiser. And so now I'm up to over 85,000 damage. The next salvo I send out here on the New Orleans will kind of exemplify a point I raised in the USS Dallas review that I did, that firing on maneuverable and higher speed targets at range can be challenging with these ballistics. With this Bayern, it's a little easier because he's slower moving and he's a larger target and he's not as maneuverable. So again, the shell ballistics can be a challenge at range, and again, I'm going to engage this New Orleans at around a little over 12 kilometers, and I am going to get a few hits on him. But between this New Orleans and the Fiji that are now focusing on me, I'm going to take some pretty substantial damage here, because one, I am essentially broadside to them, but again, this ship does have some material squishiness for its tier. There's another hit from the Fiji, which wasn't too bad, but this New Orleans really takes a big chunk out of me. I think that was probably a Citadel. And again, I'm going to pause here for a moment, because we are now about, in fact, less than 6 minutes into the battle. I have cleared 97,000 in terms of total damage, and I've earned Confederate already. So again, this may be an exceptional match. You can't base, a judgment on a ship's overall performance based on a single match's performance, but the fact that I was able to reach Confederate in less than 6 minutes after firing the first salvo, again, I think will be a testament to some of its strengths. If I continue to see a pattern like this in future battles, then that will confirm how strong this ship can be. So the rest of this battle, we have a very strong lead at this point. We have a 5-ship lead. The opposing Fubuki, which was last seen at Foxtrot 2, has been unaccounted for a little while. He is going to move into our cap quite soon. And so we're going to end up having to turn around here to make sure that our cap is defended, so that even though we have a very strong ship lead and we have a very strong point lead, that could be all for naught if the destroyer is able to take our cap. In fact, he has just now moved into our cap and is starting to take it. So Napalm and I are going to turn around here. In fact, Napalm is pinging on the map. He is asking our destroyer to move toward our cap to help at least spot or protect the cap as best he can. But he will get taken out here by the Indianapolis, which you can see at Echo 3. We'll find the Fubuki, and there goes the Fubuki as we speak. So now the next closest ally to our cap is the New Mexico. I'm putting sort of some concealed fire on this Duke of York while the rest of the fleet is turning around. Again, we have a very substantial ship lead, but so far we've been unable to defend our cap, so we do have a risk that we could lose here even though we have that ship lead. I am now over 110,000 in damage. I have taken some substantial damage, especially after that engagement with the Colorado, with the New Orleans and the Fiji putting some fire on me. So now that the Duke of York is basically gotten out of my range, I'm going to turn around here and move back toward the cap, even though we do have a number of ships that are moving in that direction. Our New Mexico is able to finish off the opposing Indianapolis. That was close to our cap as well, because he would have been a threat in terms of supporting our his allied destroyer that's in our cap. And we've now brought at least one ship. In fact, we have one ship in their cap, so we're starting a cap as well. They are down to 2 ships. One is the destroyer, the other is the Fiji, which has now been located at Hotel 4 or Hotel 5. He's moving north, probably to try to aid his destroyer, which has now been spotted. Napalm will put some fire on the Fubuki to help reset the cap, and there's the reset. So we are have now successfully defended the cap, and the New Mexico has moved in. In fact, the Fubuki has now fled. The opposing Fubuki has now fled the cap. And I'm going to try to put some maximum range fire in on the Fiji, excuse me. And again, you get a sense for sort of the ballistics here. Now, the Fiji is broadside to me, so AP can be a good choice here. But the AP ballistics on the U.S. Navy light cruisers can be somewhat challenging. They are the slower of the 2 shell types, and so hitting targets at range can be a little bit difficult. You get a few shells on him, and now have cleared 120,000 in damage. Trying to get a squeeze of shot here through that gap in the mountains. I don't know if I get another shell on him or not. Yes, I do. The Fiji is finished off by our Gneisenau. That leaves the Fubuki. So the New Mexico and Piston Napalm in the Indianapolis are now trying to locate the Fubuki. I do a test fire to see if I'm detected, which I'm not. It looks like the Fubuki is probably dropped into smoke. In fact, you can see a smoke screen going up now. We stopped taking the cap so that we can try to locate and take out the Fubuki. But I think the shores will back into the cap to start taking it again. Yes, he does, in fact, do that. So one comment I would make here, as we're hunting the Fubuki and we are now able to locate him, and again here that trying to hit highly maneuverable and quick target at range with the U.S. Navy shell types or shell ballistics can be quite difficult. But one comment I was going to make here is that given the very high rate of fire that these light cruisers have, and especially the Helena with the number of guns that it has, these ships would make really excellent destroyer hunters. Um, so one skill that could be very viable on these light cruisers would be the radio location skill, and that in combination with concealment and the IFHE skill would give you 3 level 4 commander skills, which would be fairly expensive, and it means that you'd have to limit yourself to 1 level 3 skill, 1 level 2 skill, and 2 level 1 skills on a 19-point commander. But I think that would end up potentially being a very strong skill structure for these U.S. Navy light cruisers, because they do have a very good rate of fire, and they would be a good way to hunt destroyers. So again, we're just trying to locate the Fubuki. He gets another torpedo hit on our allied New Mexico. I think the New Mexico is now flooding out, although I think he's also trying to repair. I do another test fire to see if I'm detected, which I am, so we do know that the Fubuki is within my firing range. There's a few more torpedoes. We now have 3 ships in the cap, so we're going to cap out, and there is the Fubuki, but there's no time to finish him off. So a very exciting battle, for me at least. I came in top of the team, did over 123,000 damage. No kills, but I like to believe I was instrumental in getting the kills, or facilitating the kills on a lot of the ships, especially on that northeast flank. And so yeah, it was. I think the ship is very strong. I look forward to playing her more. I hope that you enjoyed this replay. Please add your comments below. I hope to see you out there, and I wish you happy sailing.